So today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to install Linux Mint on any Mac. So if you don't know what Linux Mint is, it's a distribution of Linux. It's based on Ubuntu. It's pretty much a version of Ubuntu with a more refined interface. Plus it doesn't spy on you, so that's pretty awesome. So the first thing you're going to want to do is have the files that these two files that there's these two files you need to download. So one's refined. It's an EFI boot manager. It's pretty much just if you know what refit was, it's refit is now unsupported, so refined is maintained by a different developer. So yeah, refined EFI boot manager and a Linux Mint, the latest Linux Mint ISO file, preferably a 64-bit version. So if you're running a 64-bit system, you can take advantage of all of the RAM. So let's get into it. First thing you want to do is extract the refined zip, double-click on it. Then it'll give you this nice folder. So now we want to open a terminal window. And let me zoom in a bit. Come on. Okay, that's somewhat focused. So we want to type in CD. Then we want to get our, CD space. Then we want to get our refined folder, drag it into the terminal window, press enter. And now we've changed the directory to that refined folder. So now you want to type in sudo:/install.sh. Now it'll prompt you to type in your password. And if it doesn't look like any letters are being typed in, that's just what it does. So now Refined has been installed successfully. And that's awesome. So we have our boot manager installed. Now the only thing we need to do is to make a Linux Mint, the next step is to make a Linux Mint startup disk. So for this, CDs will work, but I highly recommend making a drive, like a flash drive. I don't actually have a flash drive with me, so I'm using this external hard drive. It's not really even an external hard drive. It's pretty much just a hard drive with a SATA to USB adapter plugged in. But external hard drive, USB flash drive, they both work the same. So let's get started. Right, so the first thing we have to do is we need to turn our Linux Mint ISO. We need to convert that into a DMG. So we want to CD into the folder with our Linux Mint ISO file. Mine's the desktop, so I'm going to type in CD desktop with a capital D. Oh yeah, we're already in desktop. Okay, sorry. So now that we're in the desktop, I'm just going to paste this. You want to type in exactly HDIUTIL convert. Now, drag in your Linux Mint ISO. Alright, so, okay, and then, so dash format UDRW capitals -O, or -O. Now we want to change now we want to kind of just tell it what to rename the new formatted file. So I'm just going to call mine linuxmint.dmg. Okay, so now you can see the whole format. And you can see it's already created the DMG, but we need to wait for it to convert. So I'll come back once it's converted. Okay, that didn't take long at all. That was about 9 seconds. Now we want to format our external hard drive, or in some cases a USB flash drive. So I'll zoom back out. Okay. Now I was using this as a Mavericks install disk for another computer earlier. But now we would just want to go to our disk, erase it, format an MS-DOS, FAT, name it whatever you want. And now we will erase the disk. Just click don't use if it prompts you with a time machine message. I'll be back in a sec. Alright, so we want to type in terminal, diskutil, one word, space, list. So now it will give us a list. We can tell that this is the drive we formatted. This is just the overall disk. So we want to remember that -dev -disk1. So we can copy that for later. Now what I want you to do, tripod, something happened, okay. Now see the partition we made below the drive? We want to control click, or however you do a right click. You want to unmount untitled, or whatever you named your partition. Now that that's unmounted, we go back to terminal. We want to cd into the desktop. So cd desktop. Now we're on the desktop. Now we want to type in sudo dd if equals, and now remember the name of your DMG. Mine was linuxmint.dmg. So linuxmint.dmg of OF equals. Now we can just check up there for the disk. I want -dev -disk1. So, or sorry, /dev /disk1 /dev /disk1. And be extremely careful with this command, as if you were to write, like, say, dev /disk0, you'd be completely overwriting your system disk. So be very careful, double check you have the right disks, press enter, input your password, and now it'll look like this for maybe a minute more, depends on the speed of your flash drive. It hasn't frozen, it's just doing that. So I'll come back once it's copied all the stuff to my drive, all the system files. Okay, so that whole dd command took forever. I actually just left and made a cup of tea, so yeah, then I came back and it wasn't done. It's probably because I have an old 5400 RPM drive. That's not even the subject. Okay, so don't get worried if you see that the disk you inserted was not readable by your computer. Just eject it. And yeah, that means you've done it correctly. Now I'm going to open disk utility, zoom in, and here's the funnest part. Partitioning. So we want to make a partition, just do plus to add one. Name it something like, I'll just call mine Linux. I'll make mine 80 gigabytes. I know that's more than enough. Make sure your partition is in MS-DOS FAT, so Linux can read it correctly. We're not actually going to install it as FAT, just ext4. But yeah, partitioning will take longer if you're not on an SSD. This is an SSD, so it shouldn't take too long. So yeah, it's making a FAT partition. The next thing we're going to do, this part is completely optional, by the way. We're going to make a second partition for swap. And if you don't know what swap is, when your memory fills up, Linux has to use some hard drive space, and swap is the partition that it will write to when your memory is full, which helps a lot. It makes your computer noticeably faster when your memory is full. I'd say if you have like 8 gigabytes, you wouldn't have to do this. I've got 4 gigabytes of RAM, which by today's standards is pretty small. So yeah, I'm just gonna make 2 gigabytes of swap. Okay. It's partitioning. So yeah, pay close attention to how to the size of these partitions, because I think with the Linux Mint installer, it won't actually show you the names of the partitions. So for example, I just know my Mac OS partition is 168 gigs. We don't want to mess with that. Linux partition 80 gigs, we know that's the system, and 2 gigs of swap. So we know 80 gig system, 2 gig swap. So yeah, now we're actually getting into the installation process, which is pretty exciting. We want to shut down our computer. Now plug in your external hard drive or USB flash drive. Press the power button and hold down the Option key. Option, Alt key, same thing. Now, EFI boot to the drive, whatever the drive says. Okay, so it'll give you a couple options. We just want to do Start Linux Mint 64-bit. And yeah, it's booting from an external drive. That'll take a while, so I'll just come back when it's done. Okay, so it's running kind of off the live USB key. It's, I can already tell graphics drivers are working very well out of the box through the magic of open source drivers. Sound and keyboard works perfectly too. I don't see any network options, so it looks like the only thing I'm going to have to install later are some network drivers. This will be different for every computer. For some, you don't have to install any drivers, but every computer is different. I'd recommend going to the Ubuntu website because they have some very helpful guides on and drivers for download. So we want to double click on Install Linux Mint. Okay. And here's the installer. We're going to click Continue. Choose your language if you want. Turn the volume down. I'm just going to click on Continue. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into this installation window. So we certainly don't want to erase the disk and install Linux Mint. That's certainly not going to work. So we want to select something else. And now we have a good view of all of our drives. Okay, okay, so this is, so right now I can tell that my main drive is dev/SDA, dev/SDA1, that's my EFI partition. We don't want to mess with that. These two HFS plus partitions are Mac OS partitions. And I can see I have some FAT32 partitions. Those are the ones we want to use. So right here, first FAT32 partition, which is the smaller one, I'm going to be using for swap space. So we want to click on Change. use as do not use this partition. We want to click on that. And then we want to click on swap area. And OK. This is just confirming what you want to do. Reformatting that as a Linux swap partition. That can take a few seconds. Oh, okay. And we want to go down. So I know I have a fat partition that's 80 gigabytes. So we want to click on change. Use as, and we want to look for it's up here, ext4 journaling file system. That's the Linux formatted drive for your system. ext4 journaling file system, remember that. And make sure to check format the partition. The mount point will be dash, or just slash. Some people prefer to use home partitions. I think it's just much easier to make one system drive. So ext4 journaling file system, format the partition, and the mount point is slash. Just root of the drive. I know I'm not saying that correctly. So it's formatted that pretty quickly. Now we know the system drive is dev/dev/sda5. Now the device for the bootloader installation should be the same exact device as our system partitions, so dev/sda5. Now we want to click on install now. Now it's just confirming what you want to do to the disks. Just click continue. And it will ask you to configure some stuff, and I'll come back when I'm done with the config. Okay, and you can see by the helpful little slideshow, Linux Mint is currently installing on our computer, and sorry, my voice kind of cracked. Okay, Linux Mint is installing on the computer. We'll come back in a second when it is done installing. This should take about, I'd say, 5 to 10 minutes. Longer if you're on a spinning hard drive. Shouldn't take too long. This has a PCI Express based SSD, which is just stupid fast, and the installation process should not take a while. So I'll just come back when that's done. Alright, so the installer has notified us that the installation is now complete. So I have to restart now, and it's going to restart. I'll come back when it comes to the initial boot menu. This is what you'll see from now on every time you boot up. Alright, wait, let's try this again. It looks kind of weird because I have an external hard drive plugged in. Let's unplug that. So here are the three options you'll have. This one, boot legacy OS from whole disk volume. You do not have to worry about that. Just never select that. Just nothing will happen. Nothing happens when you select that. Okay, so this will boot Ubuntu, or not Ubuntu, sorry, it shows up as Ubuntu. It'll boot Linux Mint when we select on this, so let's press enter. So now it's booting the OS. Come back once it's booted. And wow, I'm impressed. That was a very fast boot. Graphics seem to be working great. There's even some graphics, full screen resolution, no screen tearing. Looks amazing. Sound works perfectly. These open source drivers that it comes with are just amazing. They're better than anything that, Windows would come with. So Bluetooth seems to be working out of the box. The only thing that isn't working out of the box is Wi-Fi. So what I recommend for Wi-Fi is look up your device, and then there's bound to be someone that has installed Ubuntu on it, one other Debian-based Linux distribution on it. I'd recommend that you look that up, and you'll likely see something on the Ubuntu website which will point you to the correct drivers to use. So yeah, but basically this is really fast. We've got Linux Mint installed perfectly. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And please leave a comment before just disliking it. Maybe I can help you out. So thank you for watching.